Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're doing a comic episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's suiting up with me tonight?
I am Joe Butler, ex-leader of a defunct Ranger team.
And Finster's minion, Red Fox.
Hey, Finster's in this again.
Damn right.
You know, I still can't believe you made the comment before we started reading this. Like they're like, you're gonna think he's cool, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, he's cooler than I thought he would be.
Saw his backstory, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's cool.
Mm-hmm. A lot cooler than I expected.
You'll get that from everybody. I even think, if I remember right, Babu, the one with the monocle.
Yeah,
he's even kind of he's kind of cool too. His backstory.
We haven't really even seen him at all.
Not much. He's kind of, I think, in the background of some of the stuff, but that's about it.
I'm sure it will come back later.
We're gonna have breaks like this every once in a while. We get because this was a pretty chunky backstory for an issue chapter.
Well, this is just, I think it's just because it's, I should say, we're talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Volume 5 of Rise of Drakon. I said it wrong again, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to stick with Drakon. Or Drakkon. We'll see.
In this arc here, it's mainly focusing on pretty much the history of Grace. They're trying to slow things down. I mean, you just got all this crap with the new dimension, the coinless dimension, and Drakon, and it's all right, let's slow it down for a little bit. Let's tie in whoever Grace is going to be, and she plays a gigantic role in the story going forward. So pay attention to her.
Okay, I figured she was going to be important. And
I will say, seeing this arc again, it let me know exactly what happened where we last left off on the last episode, so that it didn't confuse me anymore.
Good.
We're also introduced to an idea that I think is really funny and a good way to basically introduce this. And I kind of hope because Mike posted that picture of the cover, and I'm kind of hoping that it goes to an idea where I believe that it's going to.
I mean,
Mike was kind of right on that. That's a pretty big spoiler for us, but I mean, if they're gonna advertise it on the cover, enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. But because this chapter starts off with basically what's happened after they've all come home.
Yeah, they all came back. Where the fuck were they? They're back from being in the other dimension.
Well, also Rita appears to be missing for some reason.
Well, that was after her encounter with Trini. She backed off, and we'll see her again.
I figured she wasn't going to be gone for long. I guess she really can't be. It's nice that this doesn't focus on her as much as it could, though.
The story skips around a bit. There's going to be different enemy focuses, and Rita's just one of the iconic villains, so she really can't be gone for long, like you said.
But it's nice that you have other things that are happening, and it doesn't just focus around her all the time.
Right. I mean, go you'll see more of that. So enjoy that.
Okay. I'm looking forward to reading those 8 issues of Go-Go.
Go-Go's not bad. Not bad at all. It's almost like it makes you feel like you're taking a step back, but when they tie everything in, it's no, this is good. I get it.
Because I am looking forward to it a lot. I like the cover of this first issue of issue 17 that we're talking about, where it shows the Zords rebuilding the headquarters. It's a cool little cover.
Something you would never see in anything else.
No, they couldn't put it anywhere else.
Also, we see the one thing that I think we see a little bit of it earlier, but a lot of them doing it a lot now. But I'm concerned as to where it'll go, because they're basically seeing the Rangers as overglorified superheroes, which is something they were never really big on. And I feel like I'm assuming and guessing it's going somewheres to where it shouldn't. Because I mean, you have the idea of you've got these, which obviously the person at the end of this ends up revealing and stuff and things like that. But it kind of seems like the idea of, look, we have 6 kids who they know they're kids, but the public doesn't know that. But you have 6 people who are powered and they're out saving people from fires and pileups and other stuff. And I can see where this is going if I think I know where it's going.
I like it. I like the idea that since Rita is no longer a threat and the world is calmer for when it comes to what they're dealing with, that they're just helping with other things. You even have Grace talking on TV, and it's a very interesting way to start it.
So I'm curious, Joe, what is your thought process and where it's going?
They're gonna try to take the coins away from them, and we're gonna have a different version of Drakon, where they're like, oh, you should give America the coins, and fucking yeah, and basically have it to where they have the army like Drakkon had, and it's like, oh yeah, the military could use that, and we could use that as some kind of way to help the world. And it's like, oh, because if anything's taught me anything, I learned that from fucking Marvel Civil War. Can't have shit for fuck.
That's what I thought of immediately.
I didn't really think about that idea.
Good guess.
That's a good guess. I just didn't. I don't know. I mean, I know a little because I read things I shouldn't read, and I stopped myself. But I don't know much. But I know Grace is obviously going to be a part of it more because I saw a cover. So,
Like
leading up to the Shattered Grid.
Grace is big news.
So I have a question. When you in this, you have Trini and Kimberly are on some planet trying to get parts of the staff of Zordon. Are those characters that were actually in the show or anywhere else?
Where are you talking about here?
It's in the...
those. No. I've never
that's
seen
completely new?
Yeah. They're like on some other planet.
It's like some black market thing that they're going to, and it made me think of the Collector from Marvel, since you mentioned Marvel. But like, I was just curious, like, if that was from the show or something that, they took from they made cooler.
That's a new concept.
Okay. I do like this with like Jason being at the home base and just sending them out on different missions and monitoring everything. Like when you see them fighting the tornado and Kimberly and Trini trying to steal the staff. It's really cool to see like him being the Zordon.
You're right. And the other thing that I want to note is that you see the pressure that Jason is like holding on his shoulders, all that weight he's carrying. Not only is he trying to be Zordon, but he's also trying to be Alpha at the same time. Because Zordon and Alpha, what do? Zordon directs them, tells them what they need to do. Alpha is more like the eyes and ears. He's the one that's like analyzing things. He's the one that's like getting the information and distributing it. So he's doing both roles while Alpha's over there with Saba trying to figure out how to get Zordon back.
That's a good way to put it. I didn't really even think about that he's doing what Alpha does too.
And there's the side thing where Zach's like, hey man, Doppelver obsessing, we can get help. Just let us get it by trying to get Grace in here. And Jason's just, no, it's not nice.
I mean, I get it. Like, you don't want the government involved.
I don't want the fucking government involved.
or somebody that he sees as like an outsider. Because realistically, I don't think at this point he really knows their history yet.
No, nor does the reader. So
right.
There's nothing that hints what's coming. There's no comments. There's no, because I read this twice as I tried to do for all our comics, and there's nothing that even alludes to who Grace is until the reveal. They have no idea. Like I do like that Saba's part of the team now. He's just there, and I also took it that there's some interesting stuff here, like with Jason looking like when you see him scanning. I think is that Rita's castle that he's scanning on the moon.
Yeah, he keeps going back to it now and then just to see if there's any activity, and because he's wondering where Rita is.
Oh, and I thought of you, Rich, in this next page, and you have Tommy and Billy working out.
Oh, yeah, that was too relatable to me. That's me and you working out there.
Don't see me working out, though. But I do like it that since Billy saw the other Billy that was a hero, now he's working out and trying to do more. And there's just some... I like the little scenes of the Rangers just bonding with each other. I think all that's really good. I like the Kimberly stuff too, where like she's like, we need to get out, and then they go and they're sitting on her pterodactyl somewhere.
Don't even think if I didn't have a giant robot, I'd be like, you know what? It's been a bad day. I'm gonna go out in the middle of the fucking ocean and sit on my big robot dinosaur.
I'm scared of heights, so I can't see myself doing it. But I'd be sitting in my Zord somewhere if I could.
And then they get called to stop a building from falling.
Not just any building. It's one of the tallest buildings in the world. I'm pretty sure that is not in Dubai.
Dubai, yeah. Pretty
sure that's what they're holding up. So I think it's funny in this panel. You see the Megazord holding it up, and the Dragon Zord just there. Like, what are you doing? Like, you got little arm. You got little hands. What's he doing?
Like, I help, and he can't even like grip anything with those hands. Like, look at how stiff they are.
He can shoot missiles.
Yeah, that's what he should be doing: shooting missiles with those hands, not trying to hold a building.
I don't think he's even really tried. He's just there, like, oh, I got to look good for the camera.
You look at his left hand, he's like backhanding the building.
He's trying his best, okay?
Since Saba is here, but they still don't have the White Ranger stuff yet.
Wait, what was your exact question?
Well, the sword is here from the other world. Wouldn't that come with the other? Wouldn't the Zords from the White Ranger be around, or that's not until someone becomes the White Ranger?
No, so Saba, that Saba that we're seeing is from the world of the Coinless, so those Zords are, yes, technically over there. We'll revisit those like interdimensional Zord rules, I believe, later on in the comic, so that'll kind of clear it up for us a little bit. But those Zords here in this world, Saba isn't even around yet. If he probably exists, but he's not here, or he has to be constructed as the White Ranger powers are made. I don't fully remember that.
Okay.
Because the White Ranger powers, I think, as of right now, do not exist.
Okay, I was just curious since he was there. I was wondering if maybe they had more abilities than we knew about. Okay, random question. It's just something I was thinking of. And then this issue ends. This is where Grace shows up and she's like, "We need to talk," and that's the last thing you see for this issue. I mean, I didn't really think about it. So I was reading some stuff online today, a little bit, or right before this recording, where it talked about like this whole little chapter is all about Grace. Like, and when I was like,
meant for, yeah,
that makes sense. And that's what the next 4 issues are too. Of Volume 6 is more like of introducing Grace into the story. So, what did you think of Grace when she first showed up?
Did not trust her ass. I still don't trust her ass.
I assume when I showed you that cover didn't help, did it?
No, it didn't help. Mainly because I've watched enough anime, watched enough superhero shit to be like, oh, I do not trust. Yeah.
Like I said, she plays a gigantic role in the story. You guys will be entertained.
I didn't even mean to look at issue 24 of that cover. I just kind of found it by accident. I was like, damn it. So I saw that a while ago. I just didn't say anything. I'm like, I don't know who's on the cover. And then when I read this, I went, oh, now I know who's on the cover. Now I understand.
So they end up going to a small Romanian town where they found out Finsters replaced people with putties.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something right now. When I read this again, I was like confused. I was like, what the fuck? Is this new? Like, I had almost no recollection of this shit. And then as it went on, I was like, oh, I kind of remember it. And then the whole like last issue, I definitely remember that. Maybe that last issue was so striking, so interesting that I just forgot about all the Finster shit.
I mean, this issue is Resident Evil meets Power Rangers. Resident Evil 4.
I can see that. Yeah.
Don't tell me that. I might actually play that.
I mean, it's 100% what it is. They go to a small town that looks like it's in Spain. The people are odd, and then all the people start like chasing after them and turn into things or turn into putties. Like, it really has that feeling of Resident Evil 4. Like, we'll take you to the master. You're just missing people shouting at you in Spanish. It's been a while since I played RE4. All I remember is something cabron. That's all I remember.
Oh god.
I love that game so much. I just can't remember what they say to you in Spanish other than I remember cabron was at the end of it. I mean, technically, Leon was in the wrong. He was just going into people's houses and shooting people. So, I get it.
No, not talking about.
But, like, this feels like a horror comic. And I think that's impressive that they do that. Because you wouldn't expect it. Like, the whole idea that Finster's been making has all these people that look like people, but he was able to make putties look just like people until they just transform and explode. Pretty
kind of a
fucked
scary concept to have human-like putties out there or monsters out there that can just blend in with society and just cause trouble and havoc like at any given second.
I mean, very much like a zombie story, or if you want to relate to real life, when COVID first happened in 2020, you never knew who was infected. I mean, that's kind of how it was. I'll never forget I was working and I remember I sneezed and someone just like backed up. I'm like, sneezing is not a symptom. Like, it's fine. I'm wearing a mask too, and so are you. Like, but it really made me feel to relate to a real life event that we all unfortunately lived through. I did appreciate these two random monsters and that they're both puns. I did like that. Borlock, who's a wizard, and Carmadillo, he's a karate armadillo because he's a kung fu armadillo.
I like that.
I did. It's also interesting to see Finster really kind of coming into his own, where he's taking over and trying to be his own master because Rita's gone. I think that's also really interesting. And also kind of talks about that he's been here for a while with these two pilots that he captured because Grace had sent a plane nearby to see what was going on, and he captured these people. And something I forgot to mention last issue, they do make comment that it's been months since they got back from the stuff with Lord Drakon. So they've been here for months just kind of doing their thing.
Oh, weird. Oh.
And the last time we saw Drakon, he was getting captured by the military, so...
That's actually quite a long time for Drakkon and Rita to not really have a presence, if you think about it.
Yeah, but And I thought that wouldn't work, but like reading this issue where that gives Finster a chance to stand out and like showing what he's doing with, because he has no leadership and he's just creating monsters just to create monsters to create havoc. Like there's no plan, there's no rhyme or reason to what madness he's doing. I think that's cool. And again, it just looks so much like Resident Evil 4. You have a big castle and a town. I can't be the only one, right, Joe? You see it too?
I see it, but I didn't see it originally.
That's what he reminded me of. God, I forgot the guy, Sadler.
Yeah, and say if you're in the castle, you fight the little guy.
Oh God, what the fuck was his name? Salazar?
Salazar, yeah.
It's been a while.
I need to make you replay that. I need to make you play that remake.
The remake, yes, that'll happen. I'm just waiting for it to go on sale, and at some point, it's starting to get there.
It'll get there. The regular price, I think, with the season pass is only like $50, which isn't bad. So if it goes on sale, you'll probably get it for like 20 or 30.
I'll buy it then. It's either that or Silent Hill 2 remake that I want to play next for when I do get to a newer type game, but I don't know which one I want to play more. So I do love 4, but I don't think 4 need to be remade. But that's neither here nor there. I like this how they're kind of working for Grace, but not working for Grace. But this whole time, like she's trying to enlist them, be like, "Hey, why don't you work for me?" And Jason is just like, "No."
Well, yeah, I think it's more of like maybe in her eyes, at least that way I was seeing it was more of a partnership. Like, hey, let me just help you guys out. We can help each other. I want to be useful. I want my resources to assist you, and we can actually do what we got to do and efficiently save the world together. And that's like this whole Finster thing, like with her pilots finding them when the Rangers, like I think even Zach says it, somebody says it. We're like, we never ever would have known about this if she didn't stumble across this. It's showing her value.
Is there a reason why he distrusts her so much?
Zach?
Jason.
Distrust, you said?
Distrust, yeah.
Oh, not so much. There's nothing that happened between them. He doesn't know her. I mean, she's an outsider. So That's enough for him.
Plus, I also think I'm 90% sure. I'm hoping Rich can answer this for me. I'm 90% sure, which I'm not saying that what this is. If it ends up coming true, I'm going to laugh. But it's also a whole thing of there's situations where Rita pops up and they're like, oh, it's a new person. And it turns out it's Rita in disguise. So they're always really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're wary of like, whenever it's like a new person shows up and it's like, especially if you think about it, Tommy showed up and ended up being the Green Ranger and whooped their ass for a week straight. So, I mean.
Yeah. So you got to think anybody typically that's an outsider that knows who they are, at least at this point in their careers, usually bad news.
Okay. That's completely fair. I was just wondering if there was like, because with how much they show him being like worn out and exhausted, I'm like, this isn't by accident that you're showing me this.
Not at all.
So it's like you're setting up something. So that's why I was just curious. I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's very good character growth for him for us to see him getting worn out and to see him, really taking leadership, because you don't always see that in the show. I mean, I don't count. It's time for karate practice, everybody. Yeah, like that's not taking leadership. That's just being in a stupid kid show.
Other than them saying, "Hey, you're just the leader," and then he calls out the morphing sequence. There's not too much more than that. I mean, there's a little moments I do kind of remember from the original show. They tried to get him to have a leadership role, but it was never emphasized really.
Was it where they all decide what smoothies to get together?
Yeah, that's about it. And what garbage to pick up in the park.
God, that show is so hard to go back to. That's why I'm happy we have this, because I get my Power Ranger fix I didn't know I need, and it's not kiddie, and it's fun, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, this is definitely made for us.
I was also wondering, when they capture Finster, you see him in some kind of like cell, and he's in another dimension. I assume it wasn't he didn't get captured on purpose, correct?
I'm trying to catch up here. I was a little bit behind on pages.
That's what I was wondering. It kind of feels like it wasn't by accident that he got captured.
I don't think it was on purpose, but then again, I don't remember. Like I said before, like this part, I don't remember as much as I do that last issue.
Well, that's fair. And you read this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time you read it was a long time ago. And this is when you find out that there are putties all over the world that and Fincher makes a comment. He's like, I don't know how many there are. I just kept making them. And I do like this fear of Zach and Jason where they're like, well, there's more all over the freaking world. Like, that's something you don't get usually in this run. Like, that's some very like horror vibes.
Yeah.
Not what you'd expect.
It's a scary concept again,
I appreciate that this is a worldwide event with the Power Rangers, not just Angel Grove, California. I really do appreciate that. I'm surprised how much that I have come to like the fact that it's not so simple that, they deal with much more than just one town and one place. Like, I didn't think I would appreciate it as much as I do. It's just so nice to have them be a worldwide character and not just a one state, one city.
They treat them like actual superheroes in this comic.
Which is what they are.
It gets much bigger than just different countries in the world. It goes above and beyond all of it.
Oh, I can't wait. And this brings us to issue 19. I think this is a cool cover, too, where you have the Megazord in a city and then a army helicopter nearby with soldiers looking at it. Like, I think that's really cool design.
It is. Those are things you don't normally get to see. Even the helicopter ride with Grace when they were in Dubai, like just them kind of leading up to the big ass mech face. It was pretty cool.
It's not what you'd expect.
I think it's interesting to have the comic start off where basically you probably, and honestly, if that also was a way to this too, where this really could be a very well made animated like series. Like you could easily have like a good 2 or 3 seasons of all this that's going on, but like to have the idea too of like there's basically putties disguised as humans waiting to transform into monsters in like public just to cause mayhem is a really cool idea.
I agree 100%.
Same.
It's just funny because you made me think of how much you want an animated show and it's based on this comic.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to pull the trigger on it already. I can't sit here and wait forever, damn it.
It's money sitting on a table. Like, you really telling me at no point do you think we should animate this to make a really good fucking TV show?
I definitely thought about it. Can't decide on it.
Oh, and then we have a weird side story where I didn't really catch that first, but I guess Kim's dad's divorced and her dad's about to marry his girlfriend, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it, but yeah, I'm assuming it might play a part later.
Teenage drama.
I honestly don't think it does.
No.
I don't think
Just
it has
teenager being teenagers.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it shows her life. I mean, not their personal lives aren't always like peachy and the best, real life.
Well, plus with great power comes great responsibility.
LMAO.
And then, I do like how this issue, again, more Resident Evil 4 references. Starts off in Barcelona, Spain. I mean, it can't be a coincidence, right? I don't know. I do like where you see another one of the people change. And it looks like it's horrible for them when they morph from the putty human to a monster. Like, it just looks like a painful experience for them, too. I think that's a nice touch also. And this is when it kind of goes into when Kimberly's dad is telling her that, he's going to marry his girlfriend that we've never even seen before. And I thought it was interesting how he's like, hey, Tommy, over here. And she's like, don't do that, Dad. And I'm like, freaking work with this guy. You've been trying to sleep with this guy. Like, your friends. Like, why are you concerned that your dad said, hey, come on over? I didn't get that. I was just curious.
Well, they're friends. It's one of the things where they obviously talk. So I know it's like thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure Kim probably doesn't like her dad currently, which I guess goes into like that Pink comic that we read where she's living with her mom in Barcelona or in France or something.
Oh, France, yeah. Well, that's a different Kimberly.
And I think there was a moment earlier where, like, I think when Kim was doing the dishes, that wasn't her mom. That was the girlfriend, I think.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. No, that was her mother at the house because she makes a comment about get back together with Dad.
Yeah, that was her actual mom on that one.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they ever show a girlfriend in here. If they do, it's like passing.
They haven't yet. I've been trying to pay attention.
It's also really funny.
I think the stuff with like Billy's mom, where you see her looking at a tablet and watching the news of when they were both rescued, and they talk about here how they like teleported underground so they could be found under the debris 4 days later. I guess I didn't think about it. It was only 4 days from the time they beat Black Dragon to the time they finished the whole run, that whole event.
You would think they'd be way more malnourished and messed up if they were like under there for 4 days.
Yeah, because if you don't have any water for 4 days, you're getting your death.
Is it 4 days?
It's not long.
Somebody's typing it.
I am typing it
Aggressively.
Nobody can hear that, but yes. How long can you go without water?
I don't like to.
Okay, that's not an answer. I want a day. Okay, most scientists agree humans can only go for a few days without taking any food or water. So,
hold on 1 second.
And apparently there's been reports of people going 8 to 21 days without food or water.
Yeah, and you can also go about 3 weeks. You can go 3 weeks without food, but with water. So, I mean, technically, if you wanted to, they could be like, oh, we happen to have, because Billy's smart. We collect enough rainwater to, like, survive those 4 days and blah, blah, blah.
Or if you had rations or stuff on you just because. I mean, some people just like, I mean, I can see there's been time where I have my backpack on me. I'm going somewhere. I have bottles of water in my backpack. So we could buy that too.
I guess.
Or maybe there's eating rats, underground in the debris.
God.
But you couldn't make a fire because then you would die.
It's
There's
rubble.
nowhere for the smoke to go but in your lungs. So
Honestly, I think it's rubble. So I think you can bullshit your way into saying that like you made a fire and the fire went up or something. I don't fucking know. I also like that they don't explain it very well because it is kind of goofy. You could, and I know the whole reasoning is supposed to be like, oh, we're supposed to have a reason as to why they were missing, but it's like you could have given like a way easier bullshit reason, anyways, or something like. Oh, during the whole thing, they somehow magically got teleported to the other side of the world, and they were okay and didn't have any ways to communicate for 4 days or some shit like that.
I mean, teleportation would work in this world, but then I guess maybe the humans or the regular people don't realize that the Power Rangers teleport. Well, no, you have to at this point. Like, you've seen shit fly out of the sky and appear there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got a space alien witch that tries to take down their hometown all the time. They're gonna believe in teleportation.
Yeah, I don't know. Then I mean, that would have made more sense in my opinion. Like, that's a good point, Joe.
Yeah, I also like that big bird creature.
What big bird creature?
Whenever they go, so Billy goes out for a run with Trini.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be talking about the bird, but I want to comment about the running. So in this kind of made me laugh. Like, she's just wearing a tank top. Why is he wearing like a hoodie? Rich, do you run? You exercise.
Yeah, what about it?
Why is he wearing a hoodie?
What part are we looking at here exactly?
Where they're jogging together. She's wearing a tank top, and he's wearing a hoodie. And I feel like it's just because, well, he's a man, so we have to put more clothes on him. She's a woman, so we got to undress her. That's how it felt to me.
Trying to see what part we're at. What is
I don't
it?
know.
I
bothered me.
I went a little too far. I'm sorry. All right, I see it now. Well, in some cases, you sweat more and you burn more calories. The idea behind it, and probably why they're doing it, I would assume.
Okay. I mean, okay. I figured there might be a logic. Cause I've seen people wear hoodies too when I've seen people jog, and it's not hot out.
Usually why, because they're trying to sweat more, have their heart rate raise faster.
Yeah, there's not a bad
function to it. That's as simple as it really gets.
My heart rate goes faster, my blood pressure goes up, and then good things don't follow after that.
And you dance on the edge of a heart attack. Great.
Hey, I can still play DDR, by the way. I found out a couple weeks ago I played DDR again. I can still dance. I still got it. That was fun. I was feeling it.
Where'd you do that at?
There's an arcade place you could throw. They had axe throwing. It was a bar. They had arcade games. So I did axe throwing, and I played some. Well, it was Pump It Up, but close to DDR. But it did bother me. It took me a little bit to get used to the fact that the buttons were diagonals and in the center, not DDR, which is the cardinal directions. So yeah. Joe, what about the bird? Since I took us off on a tangent.
Oh, the bird. I thought the bird was cool. It's a big electric bird.
And what is his name?
I remember.
Crover Lord.
Croverload.
Overload.
Croverload. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like these puns. And the sloth is called goth. It's a goth sloth. They're so stupid, but I really like these things. I just like that it's all puns.
Yeah, the person who writes this very much knows what a 90s villain of the week should look like. Because so far, none of them have missed, as far as I've seen. Like, it's even the one we had in the beginning that was like the drawing of the drawing of man from Da Vinci.
Oh yeah,
weapons.
Issue 5
over in Italy. Yeah.
I think one thing interesting with this is when they're fighting the two enemies, they're split up. You have Kimberly, Trini, and Tommy fighting Croverload, and then you have Jason, Billy, and Zach fighting the Sloth. So they're not together, so they're weaker because they don't have all their powers. Like, I think that's an interesting concept to have them divided. Because like in the cartoon, not the cartoon, in the show, like they have to be together to win because they got to make their stupid weapons.
Be fair,
I thought that was the realistic situation when you have this big of a team, 6 members, and there's worldwide issues going on. You're gonna be splitting up a hell of a lot more. Yeah. So it's very realistic in this case. It's
a good concept to have that. It's not something I expected from a Power Rangers comic to do. So, I mean, they do it a few times in here, but like before we started reading this, I wouldn't have expected things to do what they do. And I like seeing them getting, having to like work together, and then they teleport and they're all together because they use the Croverload's power to kill the Goth Sloth, which I thought was cool too.
That was pretty cool, yeah. How about Jason over there doing being thrown like a dart with his sword out, almost stabbing Zach in the process. I did like that. I thought that was cool where
he's free. I don't know why he's dashing with his sword out like that, like a dart. But I thought that was cool that Billy had to shoot Zach to save him from getting stabbed.
Well, Jason was trying to stab the sloth, and then he got thrown like a lawn dart.
Oh. And because they're in slow motion because of what he did, they can't move. They have to roll out of the way or do something. Or, put down your sword. It's cool. Stupid, but cool. I was also wondering why Finster, did they bring Finster to the crime scene, or just they took him out of his cell to talk? No, never mind. They're in his cell, or they're in that dimension to talk to him.
The cell dimension.
Yeah. I don't know. Stuff with Finster is just, I can't believe I want more Finster.
Yeah, Finster ended up being kind of cool to me, to the point where I actually bought his Lightning collection figure like a year or so ago.
Which I know you would not have done without this comic.
Probably not, honestly.
I mean, I think there was Finster figures back when we were a kid, like back when that show was around, like they made it. But I'm like, if there was, I'd be like, who the hell would want this?
Right, yeah, I didn't really care too much for the monsters back then, and the quality of them were kind of shit.
Well, I mean, it was cheap toys.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't meant to be... Toys weren't a collector's thing at that time yet. That was just, let's just make toys.
Maybe Star Wars, yeah, but anything else, maybe not. You got to think, like, Star Wars fans, by the time we were, like, really into it in the 90s, like, they were already adults. If they were kids when it came out, they already were adults.
Yeah, you had the Power of the Force line. I mean, I remember I knew a guy who collected that entire run. He had everything in his parents' house, and that he was going to sell someday, which I'm assuming he probably did by now and did not get what he paid for. But
shitty Finster.
Oh, it's a really shitty Finster I just showed in the chat. It's from 93. It's a little 6-inch figure that I found.
Man, you know what? I think I remember.
3-inch figure. Sorry, 3-inch.
Yeah, it's 3-inch.
What were you going to say?
I think I remember this thing.
It's ugly as hell.
Little stiff, non-posable little figures they used to come out with.
Here's another figure I'm putting in the chat. This one I did have, and I'm pretty sure it's still in my parents' basement, is Lord Zed.
I was so disappointed by that because it looked like shit. Like, it looked almost nothing like the show. Like,
The toy?
Oh, yeah, that's awful.
The toy is horrible.
Oh, you see, I don't know if I really got around to a lot Lord Zed, because this is what I remembered Lord Zed looking like, because I played with this toy and had this toy. I don't think I watched a lot of the show.
Sir, please look up Lord Zed ASAP.
He's a big meat man.
His design is so fucking cool. Like, I can't believe they even put it in Power Rangers. Like, it didn't belong almost. It was overly cool.
Oh, was Lord Zed from the stuff that they brought over, or was he their own creation?
Oh, that was an American creation.
Oh,
Okay.
was he?
Yeah, that wasn't Sentai.
Okay, you're right. The toy does look way different than he does. When does he show up in the comics?
Read,
Later?
buddy. Keep reading.
I'm trying.
And wait, you think every enemy for the most part, main enemies that we grew up with have interesting backstories. Zed's is going to make you shit your corduroy pants.
I mean, the more we read of this, the more. That's why I was trying to get. Like, I'm just loving this damn run.
Man, I'm telling you, remember what I told you about Shredder and Splinter?
Yes.
That whole thing, like, this isn't like the same thing at all, but scale wise it's pretty big when you find out Zed's backstory.
I'm looking forward to it. Very, very much so. But where were we? Okay, and that brings us to the end of this issue where they're at the headquarters, and there's all of a sudden there's somebody there, and I like how they're very confused, and it's great. She's like, open up the door. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Like, how the hell people find us? Especially,
Yeah, they even said, how do you know where we are? And like, well, yeah, it's not hard. You're just at that college down this, not that far from L.A.
Was that like a Jewish college or something?
Yeah, that's what the real building is, what they filmed for that scene.
I should have really went over there when I was in LA.
You didn't know it was there.
I knew. I just didn't.
Oh.
I didn't think about it for a second.
Hey, you went to where Tupac died, right?
Well, that was Vegas, but yeah.
Oh, I forgot he died in Vegas. Did Biggie die in L.A.?
Biggie died in LA, yeah.
Okay. I knew one of... I forget because Tupac got shot in Vegas. I forgot that in Biggie's L.A., but okay. Did you go to where Biggie died?
I didn't know. I should have done that too. There was so much to do in LA. Like, you could only do so much before it was time to go.
Someday I want to visit L.A., but it's less on my... But I actually would probably drive myself to that college now just to get a picture in front of it.
Worth it, man. Someday I'm going to end up going to Cali again, and I plan on going there.
And then the very last part of this issue is where Grace is talking to them, and she knows who Alpha is, and they're like, "How do you know?" And she's like, "I was his Red Ranger."
Yeah.
And the way they looked, as surprised as I was when I read this.
Yeah, as you can see on their helmets.
I mean, they do a good job of drawing like
They
the amazement.
I know, I'm messing around, but
But
yeah.
I mean, you can do it. Like good actors can make, like Hugo Weaving, for example, in V for Vendetta. Like he has a mask on the whole time, but just the way that he acts, like, you can tell what he's trying to, his emotions.
Great movie.
Yes, it is. Which will be in the podcast at this point, already published. Go listen to it. Not recorded yet, but will be. And then this brings us to issue 20. This cover's okay. The Red Ranger helmet with the moon in the background. It's like the Earth in the background, them being on the moon. It's okay. So I got a lot of questions about this issue. So this starts off with, it's in the 70s. Wait, no, is it 60s? No, 60s we land on the moon.
Was it, 69 was the moon landing?
I think so. Because Kennedy's already dead, and Kennedy promised we'll do it during this decade. So, yeah. I do like where you see, the guy walking on the moon doing the famous line. And then you have this green creature that kind of looks like the Green Ranger.
Oh.
That is from the two, by the way, Mike.
That is what?
That's from the show as well.
Oh, this guy's from the show?
I was hoping we would get to this because I wasn't sure if Mike knew or not, and this is what I was hoping. Rich, I'm not really familiar with it. Can you please explain to Mike what these Psycho Rangers are?
So they're the coolest version of evil Rangers that we ever got in the series. They exist in space as the evil Rangers. So each color has their own counterpart. Even I think even up to a Silver Ranger as well.
Oh.
So this is from In Space.
Okay, I never watched any of that.
It's okay. In Space was kind of bad.
Oh. Okay, that's cool. I was wondering about this. They also say Dark Spectre. Wasn't that the guy in the Turbo movie with the costume was used later?
The same suit. So
okay.
Whatever the hell his name was in the Turbo movie, something with the M, that same suit and ended up being used for Dark Spectre, yes.
Moron should have been what his name should have been in that movie. So,
correct, yes.
Just like that whole damn movie.
But Dark Spectre, all I'll say is he's in the comic, but I won't tell you how and why.
I know you had mentioned a little bit before that he's way later in this.
Yeah, he's later.
But isn't he?
There's a build up to him, but he is later.
Okay. I did not realize this is from the show. Like, I was wondering if this was the original like green power that Jason then gets, which is not the case. Then you explained to me.
Completely from In Space.
Okay, that's very fucking cool.
That's why they find him in space.
And I like the idea that he's asleep, but then the ship wakes him up because there's proximity alert of people.
Yeah,
because there's people on the moon, and it makes sense. Like, if you're in space, you're gonna have to hibernate, so like life support, shuts down, so you can just survive because not only you're going anywhere, but then if there's people, means there's a ship, you can then escape. Except he's also not very far from what his goal was anyway. Like, I feel like he could have just done it anyway. So, but that's neither here nor there.
So I will say too, I think the Green Psycho Ranger is an original concept in the comic, but the Psycho Rangers themselves were originated in space.
Okay. There's
actually a spin-off comic that has to do with the In Space kind of like storyline and universe, where the Green Psycho Ranger actually, you see his origin.
That's cool. We'll probably get to that at some point whenever that art shows up.
It'd be nice because I've only read about half of it, so that gave me the opportunity to actually go through it.
There's a lot of different arcs, so it just depends on which one he shows up in, which I don't know, and nor can I want to know. But yeah, the thing I have that we're following we'll get there, I'm sure. So then you have Grace, much younger Grace, talking with somebody because she works for NASA. She's in charge of the secretaries. Okay, I see. They had to rename NASA, so they named
Nasada.
it Nasada. I did not catch that because my brain just read NASA because I knew what I was referencing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like this where they grab 5 different people, but I did think about it. None of them are teenagers.
No, and I think the youngest one is just an 18-year-old a hippie.
And I don't understand why these are all forgettable people because, well, we'll see very quickly. But Zordon just captured 5 random people and brought them to this base just to make them Power Rangers with no training, nothing. Just here you go.
That's what he did, and it's you see how most of them are like resistant too, being that they're adults. They know who they are for the most part. and they have lives, careers. They have a purpose in life already. They're not really moldable. And I'm sure Zordon was like, all right, learn from this. He's like, fuck this. Next time, I'm going to get like teenagers that won't give me no shit, even though it's a teenage attitude. But, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because like adults would be harder to manipulate than a teenager would.
Right.
Whereas a teenager, you're taught more to respect your elders and things of that nature. Whereas an adult, you're also going to be less optimistic about life as you get older. Like one's a Vietnam vet, one's like a Russian agent. Like, you know, people that are going to be much less trustworthy of some unknown figure, powerful figure.
Also cool, female Red Ranger.
It bothered me a little bit.
Not the first time you'll see a woman in that exact suit in this series.
Ooh.
We did for that Pink Ranger thing too. It bothers me because it feels off for me for some reason, and I don't like that it feels off. I think I'm so used to these characters being who they are that it's hard for me to have them be somebody else because it doesn't matter.
The boobs.
It's kind of funny, they make a comment because the Pink Ranger becomes a guy in this, and he's like, "Why am I pink?" So it's weird not having it be not being a girl in pink, but not because it's pink, but just because I'm used to even the suit's a little different.
It's almost as if Zordon learned numerous lessons when creating the Power Rangers.
Well,
Could be wrong in this too, but I think the first female Red Ranger we've ever gotten was in Power Ranger Samurai also.
Oh, Red Samurai's pretty good.
Sounds like it. I never watched it all the way through.
that's because they get hard to watch. You know, as you got older.
Yeah, that's a very big part of it.
You grew up. Power Rangers stayed the same. At least the show, not the comics, but the show.
Comics is what I needed finally.
So when the characters we all know and love become the Power Ranger, did they have some training before they fight Rita's first monster, or were they just kind of thrown into it too? I can't remember.
If you go by the show, they were just thrown into it. I mean, the thing that they had is a martial arts background, so that's probably another thing Zordon was looking for. As you could tell, these people here, the only person that might have any martial arts experience is probably going to be that Russian spy, but that's about it.
Well, and they knew each other, right?
No. Well, just the yellow and red.
Okay. I mean, no, the original Rangers, they knew each other, right?
Oh, shit. I don't remember.
I think
Maybe.
I think they knew of each other. It was kind of a thing, it's like they know each other in passing and stuff like that, probably.
Okay.
School, yeah, I don't know. Something like that.
I was also surprised, like, because you have these Rangers, they're on the moon, and they fight the Green Psycho Ranger, and things don't go well very quickly. Like, the Blue Ranger almost gets killed, and then he gets saved by Grace. Then the Black Ranger gets hit with a rock and gets murdered.
They had no chance.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pink Ranger gets suffocated because he breaks open his mask and he just dies. Like, that's pretty fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not notice this the two times I read it until the third time. When the Green Ranger gets stabbed in the back, he drops a dagger. And that dagger is going to play a part, I know, because it's in this issue. I was wondering where that dagger was.
They all get their asses whooped pretty well, and honestly, it's kind of terrifying to think that even though we haven't seen it yet, it's kind of terrifying that this could have happened to the current team at any given fucking point. Like, yeah, the they are teenagers and whatever, but like this could have also been their first mission too, where Zordon's like, yeah, I need you guys to go fight something that's fucking terrifying, and they could have just been fucking ripped to pieces. Yeah,
but I guess the idea is here they're fighting a more formidable foe than a monster made out of clay. And these guys don't have Zords, they don't have anything.
The current Rangers would have a hell of a time trying to face the Psycho Ranger if they were put up against them.
There's also one. There's also one of them. I just showed a picture where there's 5 more motherfuckers. So
it's cool to see because I had no idea these characters existed, and I do like how they use their gun, 3 of the guns that they have, to then shoot him, and then he transforms into a giant green monster.
You now remember what that is?
Should I?
That's the big toy gun where if you have all the toys, you mix them together to make the big cannon, the big Power
Oh,
cannon.
yes.
Yeah.
I do, but there's only 3 of them, so they don't have the full gun, right?
I assume they patch it together somehow. I mean, the other 2 are dead, so I'm sure they had to run up and grab their weapons real quick.
And I was also surprised because this Blue Ranger jumps in the guy's mouth with a cannon, blows him up, but then dies in the process.
Hero.
It's pretty fucked up.
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah, 3 out of the 5 just got obliterated. Amazing.
And then Zordon's like, I made a mistake. Like, you
He's like,
think
"Ooh,
you said...
Yeah, sorry about that.
Get out of my house.
Like, one's... The other guy, the guy that survived, he's a Vietnam vet, I think is what it was. Oh, but I think the other thing is that they say what they want to use the powers. Like, he's like,
Yeah,
we could end the Cold War. We could do this. And
Oh, Vietnam War, I think, right? Or no, Cold War, but no, Cold War.
he
wasn't-
says we could... Oh, he says we could end the war. Yeah,
Vietnam.
you're right. No, never mind. It's Vietnam. I mean, Cold War is technically still happening at this time because it's
Cold War
kind of
was
happening
like,
currently.
the 80s, right
yeah,
after.
it never really ended though.
Well,
I mean, technically, the Cold War starts after World War II when they divide Berlin, and then doesn't really, because you have the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s, and then it doesn't really end until the wall is taken down in the 80s by accident. There's a really good documentary that talks about how the reason why the Berlin Wall fell and all that happened was because some guy read the report wrong. Is really what happened. They weren't actually going to let people go across the board. They were going to let them, like a few people go. Eventually, you could apply for a pass. And he didn't read the whole thing because they're a dictatorship. You just publish what you want to. It doesn't matter. And he fucked up because he had no training. And that's how that all leads to the wall falling. Fun fact you didn't ask for. Yeah.
Regardless, they're referring to Vietnam War.
Yes, they are.
As the hippie Pink Ranger tries to protest on the moon in the middle of shit going on.
That worked out well for him.
Mhm.
But it also fits the time. I mean, Vietnam War was terrible. And all the people that, like, you had those, the sides of it, like people that disagreed with it, and the people like, oh, you're not American. Like, no, the war was stupid. We shouldn't have been there.
It's almost as if we shouldn't use Power Ranger powers to stop other things that are currently happen in, I don't know, 1999, whenever the fuck the main iteration takes place.
I'm not sure. So, and then you see them leave, but Grace has the dagger from the Green Ranger.
Also, why I don't trust her ass.
I assume that's going to play a part, huh?
Oh, Grace is resourceful, man. You'll see how things go.
That's the equivalent of someone going, oh yeah, I met the Transformers, and they leave. It's like, man, those guys sure were asshole, and then someone pulls a fucking Allspark out of their pocket. Like, it's not. It's bad news bears.
It made me want more.
God damn you, Rich! It made me want more.
Glad I
Now
can
you
help.
see why, Joe. We record these about every 2 weeks, and I was like, Rich, I need more, and that's why I posted the Dave Chappelle gif. Like, I'm like, man,
Oh, you were
so good.
And man, you were itching.
I'm gonna read the 4 issues tonight, so hey, I'll be ready to go again. But
I wasn't bullshitting you guys when I told you this is a quality run. You get to see it all.
it really is. I can't wait to see where else everything goes in the next few issues we read. Because the next thing we're going to do is Volume 6, which is 4 issues, and then it leads up to the prelude of Shattered Grid. And then we got to do 8 issues of Go-Go, and then we finally can read fucking Shattered Grid. So we're getting there.
When we hit Shattered Grid, go ahead and get your bottles of lotion out. It's going to be a great time.
Shattered Grid is going to take us forever to read. Oh, one of us forever to read.
Yep.
So I guess, any last things you want to say, Joe or Rich, about this story arc or 4 issues?
Other than get ready for the Gray Show as we go along, it's going to be a good time.
I don't know what that means.
Grace takes over, in a sense, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's what he means. So I'm excited for
You
more.
guys, you'll see. You guys, you get like all that speculation, and it's fun to watch. You'll see.
I'm very excited for more. So yeah, we'll go to Shelf Stacker Box. I'll go first. I'm putting this on the shelf again, like I do they're just so damn good. I'm enjoying this run so much, and these 4 issues were another good volume. Just good stuff. So, and what about you, Joe?
Goddamn if I'm not damned to put this on the goddamn shelf. Fucking every single chapter ends with me on the edge of my fucking seat. Goddamn you, Rich, in a good way. Goddamn you to hell.
Uh,
Oh, I love it. No, you're gonna
and
ask me.
Rich,
Go ahead, ask me.
so what about you? Shelf Stacker Box.
And I don't know, like if I'm being completely honest, I don't know if I could ever do anything else in this series other than shelve it. So this is quality shit here. I'll say that I didn't care too much about the Fenster stuff, even though it was still good. It's just this Gray stuff really, really outshines everything else. And knowing where everything's going to with her, yeah, it's going on the show.
Don't fucking tell me that.
Well, I mean, after I saw that issue the cover of 24 right before Shattered Grid starts, I'm like, well, I know where she's going to be involved in. Well, I mean, also, once I saw that she's part of the military, I'm like, well, yeah, this makes sense. He got captured by the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he teleports over, like, so I kind of had an idea, like, yeah, things aren't going to go too great for him.
Sure.
I don't know. I believe Grace's operation. I don't think it's government like connected for the most part.
Oh, it seems like she has military.
Yeah, I don't know if she necessarily works for the government though. If she does, maybe contracted. I'm not 100% positive on that, but she kind of runs her own thing.
I look forward to where it goes, though.
Sure hope nothing bad happens because she has the green Psycho Ranger dagger in her fucking possession, as well as Lord Drakon. I sure hope. By the way, I haven't read that far. I'm just kind of speculating. Sure hope nothing bad fucking happens, though.
I mean, I don't think it's hard to assume bad things are going to happen. So, you know, I think that's pretty fair. That things are going to get bad. Oh man. So yeah, that's we're almost done with this, and well, at least this part of the run up to Shattered Grid. And I am excited for Go-Go when we get there. I think that will be. It's going to be hard just because I'm going to want other stuff, but I am looking forward to it because I know the first arc of Go-Go takes place before the Green Ranger shows up, so it's before all that stuff. So that's going to be hard for us.
But you'll like. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
I want you guys to know how hard I'm holding back. So I mentioned this to both of y'all, and it's currently on its third episode. And I also mentioned it in the What Are You Playing that I was on with Mike recently.
That came out a month before this.
No, the one we did last night.
I know. That came out a month before this.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, whatever. Fine.
Time Paradox.
Yeah, Time Paradox. I've been watching a show called Dan to Dan. Dan to Dan is an anime currently. It's on its third episode. I recommend watching it, by the way, y'all. It's really good. And like I said, the ghost is voiced by the actress that plays Rita Repulsa, so it's pretty funny. But currently, it's up to 165 chapters. When I saw that it was getting a anime, I read all 160 chapters over the weekend. I'm very much trying to keep myself from finishing this in one weekend.
Holy hell.
I mean, I only read whatever we're going to talk about, and I don't read a single issue past, because honestly, if I wasn't doing this for the podcast, my ass would have read this whole run by now.
Yeah, it's like how you keep asking me if I've read it's like, oh hey Joe, don't forget to read what is it, Nightfall. And I think like the other day at lunch I got through like 3 chapters and I was like, yeah, I'm doing a pretty good time. I'll just probably read this during lunch.
Okay, good, because Nightfall is really damn good, which already came out long before you guys are hearing this. So
that was real good. Yeah.
Time Paradox. All right, I think that's everything we need to say. But yeah, so stay tuned for the next one. You're going to hear is Volume 6, and then we're going to Go Power Rangers, or 1 or 2 episodes, depending on how I make that work with my magic. We'll see. And so yeah, that's you get to stay tuned. So I guess we'll just go to plugs. If you enjoyed this episode, all our Power Ranger content will be in the show notes. Definitely go check out our giant catalog. If you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. Please join our Patreon for $1. We have 1 to 2 polls every month, so definitely go help out the show and make me smile. And join our Discord if you want to be on the show, if you want to talk with us, if you want to suggest things for the show. Discord, free, join it. And we're always happy to have new people on there and talk with us. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Freak. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram. Definitely go check her out. You will see a link to her link tree in the show notes. And give a shout out to Bill Tucker to Gamer Looks at 40. And definitely go check out, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Squirrel Videos, YouTube, audio only, and rate and reviews where we get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.